Don't you know, Lucius? Time doesn't pass in... Don't say it! Who are you? Don't say it before I sue you and take everything you own. Who? I'm not talking to you, boy. I'm talking to him. Thank you to our $5 patrons, Redwolf4765, Midnight Gemlord, and Sean. Thank you to our $3 members, Recliner Plays and Redwolf4765. And a very big thank you to our $25 patron, Alex Ice Rose. Before we have in this breakdown / review of chapter 356 of Black Clover, please remember to leave your own on the chapter in the comment section down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, hit that little notification bell so you miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also I do a page down below. Each video as one, got one Dama, exclusive videos, early content, and more. Also now become a member of the channel for as little as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Now let's hop into chapter 356. What's up, guys? Welcome to here we are to review chapter 356 of Black Clover, which is known as copyright infringement. I know Disney does not own Peter Pan. Like, don't worry. I made the joke about it, but I know Disney does not own Peter Pan, and it's not like Tabata stole any specific Disney iconography, so it's all good. It's all good. But I will forever meme on it. As long as the spell is active, I shall probably make one Disney joke per video. But regardless of that, this chapter kinda hate. But let's not waste any more time and let's hop right into it. So we open up and we do get to see that Lucius and Yuno are still indeed facing off. As Yuno's bandages are coming off, he's undoing the seal upon his arm. Lucius goes on to say, "You are strong indeed, but that is not enough to stop us." Very, very interesting that he says that's not enough to stop us. Not just that's not enough to stop me. So I wonder if Lucius isn't confident in his power in a 1v1 against Yuno. Like, hypothetically, he believes that Yuno could really be enough of a threat to him. Notably, Lucius has already admitted in the past that there's one person he needs to take on himself, and that's going to be Yuno. We know that. He has acknowledged that openly. But once again, like, you realize who you are, Lucius. Like, you know what your stat sheet's looking like, right? Like, if we were to do just, like, a character sheet of every single character we currently have in the verse as a viable combatant and lay out their abilities, their raw stats, their probabilities, and their typical fighting styles, if we're being completely honest, Lucius has, like, the best win condition. Literally has 4 magics. 5, not really 4, maybe 6, hypothetically, if he's really maybe 7, because I don't even think his hypothetical DU purification is even like Lucci. I don't think it is that. I think it's something else, which we still haven't learned yet. So the 7 magics he hypothetically has is time magic, the most basic one that he got from Julius, soul magic, his own innate magic, the bone magic, which he got from Xenon, body magic, which he got from Dante, blood magic, which he got from Ivanica, gravity magic, which he likely got from Lucci, and then the 7th unknown power that he got from his original. So he has 7 magics. Yuno has 2. And we're not going to act like just 2 of the magics that Julius have on their own are most likely, inarguably, the 2 most broken magics in the verse outside of anti-magic, which just negs everything. And those are time magic and soul magic. Under most circumstances, unless your name is Asta, you do not win. Because you either get one-tapped, legitimately tapped. Like, we always joke about saying, somebody got one-tap, somebody got, they got one shot. No, but literally, like, Lucius just has to tap your head, and suddenly you're a servant of his, and or he just erases you from existence by stealing all your time. Like, those 2 magics are way better than anything Yuno has access to. Sure, star magic is cool, but it ain't time magic. And sure, wind magic is cool, but it ain't soul magic. And then he has 5 other magics on top of that. One of which may include gravity, which is a broken power in of itself. Like, bro is snapped. He is sniggity snapped. And we're not even going to ignore the fact that he has just the raw physical stats, speed, power, velocity, all that, of a full power Lucci. The same Lucci who at 50% and casual was out here dogging on, like, the literal top tiers of the verse. Like, full power Meli, full power DU Asta, Nacht. Yeah, like Lucci was styling on people. He was breaking ankles with how bad he was doing them. He was literally dunking people. Like, I know everyone's seen that image of Fugalion literally getting dribbled by Lucci, because it was literally happening, and Lucci was at 50% and likely suppressed with no Grimoire. And you're telling me Lucius has all that in his kit, plus all 6 other magics, plus the raw stat? Like, legitimately, Lucius, what you mean we, dog? You speak in French? Did you learn? Does French exist within the Black Clover world or something? Because I don't see this we. You are unstoppable. Like, legitimately, I don't know. I'll admit, I'll feel a little bit underwhelmed if Lucius gets pressed a bit too much. I wouldn't mind Lucius getting pressed a bit. Once again, Yuno is Yuno. Like, literally the ultimate. I'd say realistically, if Black Clover didn't have Asta, Yuno would be the perfect main character. He literally has all the special traits, all the unique perks of the verse, has one of the most unique aspects of the verse in the Four-Leaf Grimoire. Four-Leaf Grimoire is a cross between 2 kingdoms. Bro literally has every single stat that is needed to be unique and broken in the main character status. So I completely understand if Yuno presses him a bit, but with the sheer quantity and the quality of that quantity, I find it hard to believe, even with what happens with this chapter, that Lucius himself couldn't just really one-tap Yuno, especially considering Tabata seems to be avoiding the one-tap that he's already set up. But with this being the case, we do get to see that Yuno, he couldn't care less. He is locked in. He's like, yeah, sure, whatever. Talk that I'm not strong enough to stop y'all tongue, but you gonna see. This ain't just about me. You speak in French, but I'm really talking about we. Bar. No, sorry. But like, we do get to see that the fodder is indeed fodder. That's never going to change. And I'm not just talking about like the fodder on the Clover Kingdom side. I'm talking about the fodder in the heavens. And we get to learn some interesting information about these creatures within this chapter, because the Magic Knights waste no time in firing off on them. Like, legitimately, there are like hundreds of these things in the sky, and I'm not sure how many Magic Knights there are, but it's looking like an even 1-to-1 ratio. But regardless, they know the ways of Jujutsu Kaisen and immediately start blasting. Like, legitimately. So anyway, I started blasting. Like, look, straight up, they open up. We got all different types of attacks. Water, wind, ice, rock, magic. Like, we're seeing all the different stuff, and a single one. No, these are attacks from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 individuals. 6 individuals, and one of these angelic creatures just said no, and proceeded to negate all of them with their specific counter element. Once again, by not even necessarily moving in any way, shape, or form, it just automatically released the magics. Like, notably, when you see all the Magic Knights firing off their own abilities, they're like pointing, waving their hands in a particular direction. They're doing certain things to aim their magic, but the angel kind of just like automatically counters it, and they all kind of just spawn without the angel ever leaving their pose. Like, sure, they don't have legs, so their legs gonna change too much in the pose, but their arms don't even shift at all. It's just like an automatic reflex to counter magics with multiple different magics. And speaking of characters that have multiple magics, I was hyping up Lucius for having 6, but the most fodder and generic of these angels, which they're all basic fodder and generic because they all look the same, they already have 6. And who knows if they have more, because we see, as according to Morris, it has multiple attributes and a tremendous amount of magic. It's completely impenetrable. Those who were unfit to be part of the new world have been modified to become its guardian angels. Renegades that brought the world to chaos are now the harbingers of order. What a rational world this is. And that is crazy, because here's what essentially Morris is telling us. He's telling us that Lucius was looking through and said, you don't get an underworld creature, you don't get an underworld creature, you don't get an underworld creature. In fact, all of you are so unbelievably whack. Notably, he's just pulled up to a random village, by the way. Like, these people have no idea what's going on. So, since all of you are whack, I have this man with many hands right here, and I'm going to have him touch you all, and also I will be touching your heads. I'm not specifying which one. And he proceeded to turn just regular people into these things. And, like, notably, these things are not, like, small. Like, these things are, like, massive. Like, notably, you get to see it very well in the next shot where Morris is talking. Like, these things are towering over buildings that these knights are standing on. Like, these are just regular people. Notably, we don't get a specific of these renegades, but I'm assuming they're just victims from the Spade Kingdom. Like, Lucius was literally just going around and saying, hey, I need fodder to build an army real quick. let me take you. So these could be women, children, men, elderly, infants. Like, we have no idea because they were all made to look the same. They're all generic guardian angels, as Morris calls them. So, one, that's crazy. The fact that Lucius is so disconnected. Well, to be fair, it makes sense. It makes sense, as someone so validly pointed out. Yeah, Lucius's whole plan is to just, take all life on the planet and then immediately remake it. So, I guess, is this what everyone would look like, though? Like, does he not even plan to be unique with it? When I thought he said he was going to recreate everyone equally and better, I thought he was going to allow them to at least keep their original forms. But no, if everyone's going to look like this, I mean, like, I guess it's the most simple way to put it. Like, these things are just offsetting and weird, but also it's very impressive that Lucius is just able to imbue these creatures, supposedly with Morris's help, but still, Lucius is able to imbue these creatures with numerous magics. And to be fair, this makes sense. It was established earlier on that Lucius could just remake people, if not flat out make new people once he absorbed the powers of his siblings. But, like, still, people usually aren't born with multiple types of magics. Think of all the people in this series who do have multiple magics. They're either infused with other creatures, such as the case with Nacht, and or they're extremely rare soul circumstances. Lucius is one of the few people inherently born with two magics. Why? Because he was inherently born with two souls, Julius and Lucius, soul and time. Look at Yuno. Yuno is a reincarnation of a being that was already new and different for the world itself because it was a hybrid between an elf and a human, and he was born again, meaning he had two souls residing in him the entire time. Thusly, it makes sense why he has two magics. But even then, those are the only two that have naturally occurring dualistic magics in one body. So the fact that Lucius is able to take presumably randoms, like these are people who are not people anymore, they're guardian angels, as Morris calls them. He's able to take these people and turn them into these things with upwards of 6 different magics, likely more, just by himself with a little bit of that magical Morris juice, and that's crazy. He would literally have to not only change their fundamental biological structure, like their size, their appearance, how they literally just exist. These probably, being completely real with you, barely count as humans anymore. But with that being the case, he also had to change their magical structure, how their body produces and reacts and just exists with certain elements. And he built in auto-targeting. Like, legitimately, these things do not move. They don't even blink. They don't have, well, I guess maybe they have eyes, but it doesn't seem like they do. But they are naturally able to react to and overpower magic knights with actual real sentience just by existing. Like, these creatures are admittedly terrifying to think about on an actual level because they are literally victims. Like, there's no other way to call them other than just straight up victims. But at the same time, as to quote Vexen, I'm a scientist. Experiments are what I do. Yes. Like, legitimately, on a sheer scientific level, on a level of just understanding Black Clover as a verse, this is very impressive. Like, he just did this, presumably in a matter of a couple days. Like, I forget how long the time gap is in between the battle he has with Asta and now, but I don't think it's like more than a month. And for him to do this, figure out that he could do this, absorb his siblings' magic to do this, and then specifically structure hundreds of these things from numerous victims of all different varieties is really, really impressive. Concerning. Very concerning, horrifying even, but still very, very impressive. And I can see why Morris is honestly kind of cheesing a little bit. Like, his study of magic was kind of leading up to these things. The perfect creatures, these perfect guardian angels that can respond to any phenomena perfectly and allow absolute domination. These things alone are nigh on unstoppable unless something comes in to intervene with their abilities, as we'll soon see. And speaking of what we shall soon see, the Magic Knights are kind of realizing their position. Like, all those angels have this kind of power? It's hopeless. It doesn't matter if you're a noble or a knight. There's nothing any of us can possibly do. And, like, yeah, you got to think about that on a logistical level. Let's say you were put into a fight, right? Let's just say for some reason you like stepped on somebody's shoes and they immediately turn around and decide, you know what, we're gonna throw hands. And the thing is, you go to throw hands with them. You try to slobber knock the taste out their mouth. But as you try to slobber knock the taste out their mouth, not only is your fist like perfectly stopped and weaved. Either one, whichever is more embarrassing for you, but also they hit you with the cleanest kick, like the smoothest, most buttery kick this side of the Mississippi, and absolutely glass you. Like they just straight shatter your jaw essentially in one hit. You're still up by a sheer miracle, but you are rocked by this individual. Do you think you're going to win that fight? Like legitimately, in that moment, do you think victory is even on your mind anymore, or is survival? Because I tell you what's on my mind, survival. Like legitimately, I don't think I could play those games. If someone was that powerful and someone was able to just casually just neg me like that, I think I'd be just a tiny bit concerned. Just a little bit. So I can't even blame the Magic Knights here, right? Because to be fair, obviously you may be like, well, Pencil, these guys are Magic Knights. Like, this is what they signed up for. They know what they're doing. Like, they've run into dangerous situations before. There's just another dangerous situation. Right. But we got to realize, outside of Asta, just absolute casual automatic magic negation is not a common thing. Like, it just doesn't happen for the most part. And these guys have experienced many things, most likely. We've seen some relatively older looking men and women here, but even still, it's entirely likely that in the face of something that absolutely negates everything they could do automatically, you run out of options immediately. It doesn't matter what spell you try. It doesn't matter if all of you attack at once. It doesn't matter anything, because you're immediately going to lose if the thing just feels like it. And notably, you can't even see it. Like, notably, a big thing about combat and human interaction on a general level, if there's no like mass or anything, is that usually you can see certain tells or certain looks on an individual's face. It's why if you like study the looks of even pro fighters, like MMA fighters, boxers, and all that, heck, not even fighters, just in sports, like football players, whether it be American football or even soccer players, there are a lot of tells in an individual's face on how aggressive they're going to be, how violent they're feeling, stuff like that. You can read that from the face. But these creatures, due to being entirely static, essential, just models of what the perfect guardian would be, there's no reaction, there's no buildup, there's just devastation. You're fighting not necessarily humans anymore, you're fighting monsters in angelic form. Essentially, imagine if I told you to fight a grizzly bear. Could you do it? Yeah. Could you hypothetically succeed? Maybe. Highly unlikely. Like literally like 0.0001% likely. But maybe. Would you have hope going into that battle? I highly doubt it. Yeah, that's the thing. I completely understand where the Knights are coming from. Sure, is it sad that they've come here to be immediately reduced to fodder? Yeah, but once again, it's realistic. Like, I'll give Tabata credit. Sure, I'm not the biggest fan of wasting time on fodder, but you gotta have fodder view fodder for this to be a real war, and it's great to see the fodder have realistic reactions. It's one of my favorite things about Madara's appearance in the Fourth Shinobi War. Like people started praying when they saw him. People start sweating. Like, it was just great to see. And I can understand that some people just aren't born like Yuno. Some people just aren't lucky like Asta. Some people just don't have connections to extremely powerful families like Nacht. Like, legitimately, I can understand the fear here. And we even get to see both sides of the spectrum. Those who would give in to despair if I told them to fight a grizzly bear. And also the people who would fight the grizzly bear with a smile on their face while they're sweating and screaming. It is this one guy who I do recognize loosely, but I'm not going to look him up because he's never going to be important. But with that being the case, he says, "No, you're wrong. No matter the odds, we must fight. We must protect our people." And I'll admit, he is better than me. I'd be gone. And we see that he's not the only one gassing themselves up. The other person gassing them up is not Best Girl. I'm sorry, Meli exists. But with that being the case, we see not Best Girl. Soul comes in and says, "Even if we're no match, even if it was reckless, even though they're from a lower class, they still fought. That's how they became stronger. And that's the same for me." Grah! And she proceeds to summon an earth golem to slam in. And now, notably, I don't know who she's referring to here. Like, is this just... Yeah, I legit have no idea who she's referring to here. Even if they were no match, even if it was reckless, even though they were from a lower class, they still fought, and that's how they became stronger. I have no idea who she's referring to. Am I missing something? This is probably like a super obvious reference to something, but I don't remember anything that she could be referencing. Like, maybe she's talking about the commoners, like Asta, who rose up from the lower, and like Yuno, who technically was a commoner, but was real to be a royal, but I don't think everyone even knows that. I think it's kind of secret information. So she may be referencing Asta and Yuno here, and maybe some members of the Black Bulls, but even still, I feel like this is probably such a specific reference to something that me, who ate Black Clover in like a week, just doesn't remember. So I'm not going to chalk that up to she's just talking about nonsense here. I'm going to chalk that up to I don't know. Please help me down below. With that being the case, she does lunge in with her massive earth golem. And we see that the angel, once again, pretty automatically responds. But interestingly enough, it doesn't respond with like a real counter element. It just hits it with a beam of light. Like, that's interesting that when faced with something that's just made of stone, it doesn't respond with anything else but light. Intriguing. However, with that being the case, we see that the light doesn't immediately annihilate Soul in her construct. In fact, she actually managed to block it. And the sad but hilarious thing is that her inner thought here of, oh, I blocked it? I think it just reveals that she was fully willing to go. Like, maybe not go, maybe just take extreme damage, but like, you leaped in there knowing that you were most likely to fail. I guess that's what happens. I guess that's what crosses your mind when you're about to fight a grizzly bear, but like, still, the fact that she just says, oh no, wow, I actually blocked it, is crazy to me. She really expected the laser to just go through, destroy her construct, and she just have to try again, and or she would have just gotten got. Either outcome is extremely likely, and both outcomes are really, really sad when you think about it. Like, her and likely the others are kind of just resigned to perish here. And I guess it makes sense. Like, I suppose you kind of have to go in there with the will to leave forever. Because, like, I'm not exactly sure how this final war was advertised to them, but it wasn't going to be like, I'm not even sure what you would say. Like, this battle will be like none you've ever faced before. Ever. Like, we're fighting deities. Like straight up, I can't even necessarily blame her, but it's just a weird thing that she was so ready to go. And we do get to see that everyone notices, wait a minute. Her magic, it suddenly has more juicy gains to it. What's popping off here? What's going on? And we see that around Soul are actually some fairies. Like legitimately just straight up fairies, like little tiny people with wings. However, they are just like the angels in the sense that they are faceless and have no real definition or form. And we see someone blow something that's very akin to the Gallahorn. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Heimdall fans, Norse mythology fans, don't end me. I haven't touched Ragnarok in a while, so I don't know how they pronounce it properly, but still, it seems like someone's blowing the Gallahorn. And with this being the case, we see that Sylph is still down atrocious for Yuno. I wonder why. Like, notably, none of the other nature spirits have expressed, like, interest in anything, realistically. Like, anything romantically, at least. Because, like, Salamander didn't, Undyne didn't, I forget what the Spirit of the Forest is, but it didn't. Like, none of them did. So I wonder why Sylph is so unique in that sense. And Sylph is the only one that's always been relatively small. Like, Salamander we've seen can get pretty large. Undyne and the Earth Spirit can get pretty large. Sylph is the only one that consistently remains tiny. I don't know. That's very interesting. However, we do get to see that Sylph is like, this is the power of love, mine and Yuno's. I can manipulate the flow of time and magic inside this space. Our allies' magic gets stronger, while our enemies gets weakened. Huh? Like, wait a minute, wait, what? Like, here's the thing. Hypothetically, I could understand Yuno developing a resistance or a, like, manipulation of time. I could 100% understand that. And maybe this is that, because she does say this is the power of love, mine and Yuno. So Yuno hypothetically. But even then, Yuno's is kind of stretching it. Like, we're not talking about magic, we're talking about physics. Like, hypothetically, around different sized stars, due to their different effects of gravity, time would flow differently. Like, if you've seen Interstellar, that whole scene where we're on the water planet, the reason time flows so much faster there is because of the difference in gravity, and gravity naturally has an impact on space-time. But I don't think the bot is going that deep. How did they get time magic? Or the ability to manipulate time? Like, that's insane. Like, they just dropped that like it's normal. Like, I'm not sure if this was built up right. I mean, I get it, because the Peter Pan analogies and references have been kind of built up ever since Sylph was introduced. I'm pretty sure you could go way back when, way early on until when Sylph was first introduced in terms of like forums and discussions, stuff like that. And I think everyone sort of got the Peter Pan and Tinkerbell references. So that's the only tie to time I could really see. But wind and stars, I can sort of see stars, but it's absolutely insane that Sylph can manipulate time, the flow of it entirely within that space. However, this does mean that this would sort of just fall under time hacks, and notably, she's not, like, it's interesting because she says manipulate. But Yuno says, later on in the chapter at least, Yuno says that time doesn't flow. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on here. Because, like, hypothetically, if you just slop this off to the ultimate degree, you can get characters in Black Clover way faster than they already were, even though a lot of them are already FTL. You could get them up to, like, inaccessible speeds. If Yuno and Sylph are, like, stopping the flow of time automatically within their realm, as Sylph says, manipulating it, and then Yuno goes on to say, you can't even stop the flow of time here, then maybe that's inaccessible. Or you could just argue that the reason Lucius's spell don't work later on in the chapter is because Sylph is literally manipulating the time there. So thusly, even though he has dominion over time, considering this is described as a mana zone, and we know mana zones can overwhelm certain techniques and abilities, it's entirely possible that Yuno's not actually having an accessible speed. It's just that Sylph is manipulating the magic of the mana zone so well that Lucius and his own spells can't work. However, that still implies that Yuno plus Sylph have more raw magical power than Lucius, because Lucius should be able to overwhelm them with his own mana zone, but he doesn't, which is insane. Like, once again, I gotta remind you, Lucci, he's Lucci, but, like, plus 6 other people. Like, that is absolutely insane that Sylph is this powerful. And we see that this is Star X Wind Magic Neverland. I'm not sure, I'm assuming that's just a typo, right? Like, Neverland? Huh? Like, maybe that's just the name of the mana zone. Like, I mean, I'm not complaining or anything. It's just weird. Like, I think Neverland makes more sense. It's even the title of the chapter. So I think it's probably just a mistranslation. I'll see in the official viz, and I'll probably mention it next week. But it's very impressive. And notably, they cover pretty much the entire kingdom with this. Like, notably, if we're looking at the perspective of the shot, it isn't just the noble realm, but, like, their mana zone extends, like, outside the far reaches of, actually, it may just be the noble realm, but still, that's a very big range for them to have. And once again, I need to remind you, Yuno is in base, in Base. Bro is not spirit dived or nothing. And admittedly, Sylph does look a lot, like, bigger. Like, she does seem to be, like, the size of Yuno's, like, I'd say darn near upper torso in terms of just sheer height. And with that being the case, it's likely that all that magic storing that she's been doing resulted in a massive amp for her, but it's crazy. It's still crazy that these two are doing this. And someone, once again, I may just be missing something, please tell me why Yuno's hand is miscolored. Like, I'm not sure. Why did it decay? Like, I don't know why his hand is doing that, why he needed to steal. Someone please help me with that. I'm sorry, I should have Googled it before the review, but I have no idea. And I just tried to Google it real quickly, and I still cannot find a reason why. So please tell me. I probably just forgot something or missed something. But with that being the case, we do get to see that everyone's realizing that, wait, hold on a second. We aren't automatically cooked. We can actually throw pause now. Hold on, wait, maybe we can do this. And we specifically see the, I believe, former vice captain of the Golden Dawn. I forget his name, because of course I do. But the former vice captain of the Golden Dawn being like, honestly, what a cheeky junior. I'll admit it. You have what it takes to be Wizard King. Yuno, let's go. And they all charge in. And we see that in this moment, where they couldn't fight, where they were all about to meet their ends, thanks to the magic of Yuno, thanks to the ability of the future not Wizard King, they can fight until the very end. And they loudly and proudly declare that they are magic knights, so fight and defend! And I'll admit, I got a little bit hype. Like, sure, are they just all fighting generics? Yeah. Do all these generics have exact counters to their exact abilities? Yeah, but still, it's neat. It's neat enough. Do I want, like, entire chapters spent following these non-characters into their battles with these generics? No. But now that we have a reason for them to fight, now that they have the ability to fight, I'm glad. Never cut back to this again, Tabata. Just give me the fight. It sounds bad. But regardless, I'm happy that they can succeed in one way or another. And we do get to see that as they are indeed succeeding, as Yuno is the epicenter of this Neverland. It's the smile on his face that kills me the most. Like, Lucius is just casually cheesing on him. He's like, that was nice. You gave him hope. But, you see, they didn't need hope. You did. And he casually appears, instantly speed blitzes Yuno, which is very, very telling for how base Yuno stacks up against Lucius. But once again, I'm not even going to necessarily give Lucius too much credit here, because this is base Yuno. Like, base Yuno. And he's already transformed. He's already transcended. Even his base state has access to the power and speed of Lucci. So his transcended state blitzing Yuno here, while cool, it isn't very impressive, but it is hilarious to see the grin on his face as he teleports and immediately just slams Yuno in a cage of time. And we see Yuno appears to be locked in place, but Lucius realizes something as he's looking down on Yuno. The basis of my time magic is aging. It manipulates and hastens the flow of time, but in Neverland, time does not pass. Yo, I'm not gonna lie. If someone told me that a Disney bar could hit this hard, like and I know it's not necessarily Disney, but like, Tabata, you ain't beating the Disney allegations right now, but still, that is crazy. You fighting a Lord of Time, the Emperor of Time, if you will, and the first bar you drop on him is, in Neverland, time does not pass. That's a bar. That's a bar. Like, legitimately, that's a bit of a bar right there. Like, no lie, no kissing, no capping. And that's kind of a bar. Hitting him up with time does not pass in Neverland. That's mad disrespectful, too. But this essentially proves that with Sylph's help, he's able to absolutely just negate every single thing that Lucius could hypothetically drop on him in terms of his time magic, as long as they're within this barrier. So, that's good. That's a whole faction or side of Lucius's magic locked down. Though admittedly, I do admit this does kind of feel a little bit plot forced, because we know Lucius would have tapped Yuno here. He wouldn't have even risked it. He would have immediately tapped Yuno's head and turned him into a paladin. So we gotta have a little bit of plot, a little teeny tiny bit of plot, but I'll let it slide because we've seen that Lucius and Julius usually open up with a chronostasis spell, so it's not entirely out of character for them to do this and for them to be caught off guard here. And we see that Lucius is like, wow, it really is magic that was born to oppose me. I despise it. As expected. You really are my rival. And something I do like here, I think this characterization for Lucius is something that I always appreciate in a good late series antagonist, is that despite him saying, I despise it, you're in my way, this is foolish and arrogant, as he says, you are my rival, he has a smile on his face. I really, really like that. Like, the fact that even though this is a plan he's been working for decades at this point, he's been trying to make sure that everything falls into place. Everything was going according to Keikaku. Even in spite of that, when faced with someone, when he's at the pinnacle of his power, faced with someone who could actually step to him, faced with someone who could properly give him a challenge, he smiles at it. Because competition is just innate to Lucius's nature, and he can't disrespect that. And I love that. However, we see that Yuno does not love that, as he proudly and loudly declares, you are not my rival. And he immediately dives in, Spirit of Zephyr, with his blade and slashes off one of Lucius's horns. Seemingly enough, going straight for Lucius's torso. The swords counterattack. End of chapter 356. And we're on break next week. Gosh darn it, Tabata, I get it. You're pushing out peak every week, but why? Why breaks? Why breaks? JJK comes back with no break, and you go on break. My Hero Academia, it's very inconsistent. 4 nights, it's doing fine. But regardless, oh no, 4 nights is on break too. Why are peak going on break? But regardless, super duper, ooper, juper W chapter. Obviously, I love Yuno popping out with the Disney references. I love seeing the invention and the application of these angels. I love seeing the knights getting their morale back, getting their energy back from Yuno. Yuno proving himself, Sylph's evolution, and the battle between Lucius and Yuno finally beginning. Overall, super W chapter. I'm excited to see what happens next, but please know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure the notifications to miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also I do a page down below. Each one as low as $1 exclusive videos, early content, and more. Also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks include the live reaction to this very chapter. Now, thank you guys so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Dago the Pencil, writing off.